What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. It's been a very long time. I haven't been in the charts since early last week. But yeah, I want to say thank you for 3,000 subscribers, and it's going to be nice to get straight into things. I haven't really looked at the chart, so I'm just going to be going straight off the top of my head as to what I'm seeing straight off the bat. And you can see how this week's already been quite bearish in terms of Monday and Tuesday's trading. Now, what I've noticed that Tuesday has managed to take out Monday's high and then turned around and traded aggressively lower. And then I've also noticed an inversion fair value gap, which price is trading through on the downside. So we're seeing a lot of discount PDRAs get traded through, which suggests we're bearish, meaning that we should be looking for discount targets for price to be potentially trading down towards. So I'm just going to mark these out. We're going to start on the daily on dollar. These are more short-term targets that you can see. So this is an inversion fair value gap, meaning that I don't anticipate price to need to return back up to that. This is like a signature to say, okay, we've completely disregarded any kind of bullishness from this PDRA, therefore we should be able to move on to more heavier discounts. So what's standing out to me now is these lows here, this low, this low, and this low. And if you watch my videos, I think it was last week or the week before, probably early last week, I was looking at these relative equal lows to get traded to. However, price traded higher, started taking out highs, and then we stayed up there for a while. But now it looks like we may finally be looking for these as targets. So I'm going to mark that out as sell side liquidity, daily sell side liquidity. And it'll be nice to see if moving into Wednesday we can get that continuation lower to trade towards that low, these lows. And on the 4 hour, you'll see how these lows are significant because they're relatively equal, this low and this low, and then resting right below it, you can see there's a fair value gap as well between this high and this low. So there's reason as to why price would want to trade to this, because if we are bearish and we're seeing bearish signatures on the daily, remember this is a inversion fair value gap, then that means that this discount fair value gap on the 4 hour is where I'd want to see price start to draw itself towards. Now, in terms of actually framing this week and, you know, getting on the right side of the market, so to speak, like for setups, etc., are we looking at the buy side of the curve? So you can see that there's bullish order block here, bullish order block here, and then these bullish order blocks should act inversely as price trades down on the downside of it. Now, we could always just drag out this bearish order block and say expect it to act as a bullish order block. However, it's looking to me like it's unlikely for price to rally that high, which means that there should be some kind of PDRA between here and here that we can identify. So with that taken into account, let's just make that white for now. And as we drop down to lower time frames, I'll be looking in this range to see, okay, are there any PDRAs maybe on the 1 hour or 15 that price may want to rally to on Wednesday to potentially create the high of the day to then expand lower and start moving towards our sell side liquidity target? Now, I'm not expecting us to necessarily hit this low tomorrow. It could be Thursday, it could be Friday, but my point is I'm expecting this to be the draw on liquidity. And then furthermore, it doesn't even have to hit it this week. Why? Because there's other PDRAs such as this volume imbalance right here that price would want to try and fill first. So price is going to try and reach here before it's going to reach here, obviously. So with that taken into account, we should probably get that marked out as a sell side liquidity target as well. And now I'm going to be looking in this range as we drop down to the lower time frame. So I hope that will make sense. Let's go down to the 1 hour. And you'll see within here we have a nice bearish order block. So I'm going to mark out the open of that. And this should be very sensitive to price, assuming we're bearish. And you can see we've already tapped into it here. So again, once price trades back into this range of that wick, it should act the same way as a bearish order block. So it doesn't necessarily need to touch the opening of the bearish order block. It just needs to come up above this level right here. So I'll be looking more particularly, and I'm going to make it blue, at this range moving into tomorrow, because ideally price doesn't rally past that range, as in it will tap into it at the very most, and then I'd expect it to act as resistance to turn around and send price below these relative equal lows again, and then this fair value gap. And then if price wants to get overzealous, that's when we can start thinking about this sell side liquidity. So yeah, very bearish day by the looks of things. So let's go to the 15-minute. You can see our price is kind of just messing around, but again, high, low, higher, high displacement. So we're looking at that. This is the last down close to candle, so this is technically a breaker. Although it's mid-range, it's still a breaker in terms of the delivery. So again, if price taps into that, we'd expect it to act as one, which is in line with our range that we expect price to be able to rally towards anyway. And to even add to that, we do have a fair value gap within that range as well. So you can see how all these PDRAs are stacking on each other in terms of an idea as to where price may want to create the high tomorrow, or where I'd expect price to turn around. And what this means is that if as soon as price disregards it, so if price trades above here, if I find we get to tomorrow and it's trading above here, I don't get myself involved. I'll just stay away. and let price do its thing. But until then, I'm happy to remain bearish, and I'll be looking for any kind of setups to form within this range. And if it doesn't get to there and it carries on lower, so be it. I'll probably miss out, but you know, there's plenty more fish in the sea. So overall, that's what I'm expecting. Let's go look at this sell side again. Relative equal lows, beautiful relative equal lows. They didn't stop pricing these tracks here for no reason. They're engineering in that liquidity. So let's get that marked out as sell stops as well. And then I am going to quickly mark out the daily dividers. So we've got Wednesday there. We've got Tuesday there, and we've got Monday, and then finally Sunday. And you can see that Sunday's opening price is here. We tapped above it on the Monday, and since then prices left it quite happily as well, and it looks like it's expanded to the downside. So that's why I'm expecting a continuation of that tomorrow. And then another thing to take note of is the range. So if we look at the range of Tuesday's price action, you can see that look at how price treats that 50% level, classic, trade through 50% level, tap it, and then leave it. So again, tomorrow, and you can see that this is, our expectation as to where we want to see price reach has formed at the 25% level of that range of yesterday, which is classic. If you look at the way that price refers to the 25% levels of the previous daily range, this is classic in that sense. So depending on where we are moving into Wednesday, and we still have quite a few hours, we still have the whole Asia session, but depending on where we are, if it only manages to tap into that 25% level, that will show heavy bearishness. That can help us send us into our discount. So that's just a few things to take note of. So that's going to be everything on dollar. I hope that all makes sense. Let's head on to GBP USD. And GBP is also starting to head towards some targets, which I marked out in last week's videos. So this is some buy side liquidity, which I had my eyes on, I believe, like last week Wednesday, but price carried on lower. You can see we've been in a consolidation down there for a very long time before today. Monday this week, where we had expansion. So this is what I was waiting on. So when I saw all this happening and I stopped posting because I was extremely busy and just annoyed in the charts in general because of how much consolidation we'll put into, this was the expansion I was waiting for, because this is showing a draw to liquidity, a willingness to want to go where higher, assuming that dollar wants to remain bearish. But let's go to the daily and take a closer look. And you can see that there is an inversion fair value gap here. So I'm going to clear out these charts. Actually, I'm going to clear out everything here just because it's a bit messy. I'm not going to clear out this because this is still a fair value gap, which I'm anticipating getting filled. And then this is a bearish order block, I believe, which I'm anticipating price may want to reach for, depending on how bullish we are. Now, that inversion fair value gap is still relevant. I'm going to mark it out from here to here, drag that through, and you can see our price managed to trade through that today. Same thing, we can split this up into quarters. We're at the 50% level right now. The very lowest I'd want to see it trade, honestly, is going to be the 25% level of it. And the reason for that is, well, if it's going to find any kind of support at this point, it has to be here. Otherwise, it doesn't really stand as an inversion fair value gap, as it's hard for me to use and trust it. So if that makes sense. So I'm looking at the 25% level of the inversion fair value gap as a point of support. If price fails to find support and it moving into the new day, then I don't want to be using that inversion fair value gap as reference, and we'd have to find some other PD arrays. But let's go to the 4 hour, and you can see our price is kind of messing around with that. That doesn't give much room to mess about at all. I'm happy for us to wick down there, especially with this gap. Hitting that 50% level would be, classic of price. But I'm talking about volume. I'd expect it, and ideally want to see it stay above that 25% level, because that shows support for a bullish bias that can run us up into our buy side liquidity at the top of this range. So that's just a few things to take note of. So I'm going to mark this out as buy side liquidity. We'll look at the 1 hour. Again, not the cleanest whatsoever, but after seeing large expansion like this, and look at this as well, you see how we haven't taken out this high yet. It's left that high there for a reason, and I would like to think that price will be able to pull back on itself to run those stops here, run Tuesday stops here, and then run those Monday stops from last week as well, because these are all significant buy stops. It's just a matter of seeing whether we can stay within the range of this inversion fair value gap. Again, if it starts to disregard it, like the 25% levels where I want to see volume stay above. If it trades outside of it completely, I'm just stepping away. And then also, this is the consolidation I was talking about. They're clearly building in orders and such. And then if it does drop down back and tap into the range of this, so this is the last highest high before this low, that then caused this expansion. So if price taps back into this, that would be what we call first stage accumulation, assuming we remain bullish on the back of that. So that might be a sensitive price point, but we'll have to see at the back of tomorrow. And you can see very, very recently we've had some large expansion. So we're just going to be patient with it, I guess, as per usual. But again, it's all in line with dollar, which is already tapped into the range which I was referring to. All in line with dollar and whether it wants to respect these PD arrays. And if it does, then I'm happy. But if not, then it'd just be reversed, as in, okay, once we're above here, then we have to use it as support, and then we can look at these highs and such. But I don't believe I don't want to see it go there, basically. And that is an arrogant self, but also the fact that on the high time frames we've been looking at these lows, the way it's engineered this low here, it chose not to take out this low yet. I don't see any reason for us to keep rallying above there, and also for us to get a large expansion at this time, 425, unless there's a bomb that's just dropped and I haven't realized. I don't see how this is how this time we should see a reversal. As in, when we see a rally like this at this time, it's unlikely that it's a full-on reversal just because of the time of day, if that makes sense. But yeah. So we'll just let that do its thing, and then we'll finish up on Euro USD, and we'll see the same thing on Euro in terms of a lot of rallying. Let's go to the daily here as well. And Euro, you can see, went right below these stops, traded into this fair value gap, hitting that 50% level, and came right back on itself. So it's what accumulated stops below here. It failed to fill in a bearish PD array, well, a bullish PD array, sorry. So we hit the 50% level, there's still a gap, but look at how aggressively it traded back higher. It's left that gap open for a reason. As far as I'm concerned, I want to see price continue to trade on higher. Now, it is disregarding this bullish order block, and it is messy, which is why I haven't been enjoying these past few weeks. It's very messy. But again, there's some beautiful relative equal highs residing above here. This high, this high, this high. There's going to be lots of buy stops above there. So I'd like to think that price would want to try and target that. If we go to the 1 hour, you can see again, we did kind of reverse on the back of a dime, as in, so it's rare that price is going to wander on like that. We will likely probably get another level of retracement, and I'll show you where. So if we look at this sell stop below there, we've came down and grabbed sell side liquidity below these lows, as in price targeted that and then came back above it. So there's no reason, as in, it's very typical for price to come back down around this range, and then it'll pretty much choose what it's doing, as in, ideally I'd like to think it can tap into this fair value gap but then find support. So this will be the lowest I'd want to see it trade tomorrow for me to remain bullish in line with dollar, etc. You can see there's a bullish order block there as well, relative equal lows, but overall I'm looking at these relative equal highs because they're just too clean for my liking. But yeah, very interesting. And then also another thing that's been driving me insane recently is look at how off GBP is from euro. So you can see that GBP has been literally rallying whilst euro's been, oh no, sorry, this is euro GBP. Am I going crazy, guys? I'm so sorry. Same thing though. If that means, if we're expecting a bullish euro against the pound, that means that we should see the same being reflected in euro, and you can already see that here, as in euro showing strength, and I want to see euro continue to show that strength. So let's start again here. That's interesting, but maybe I should start analyzing that here as well, because when I do trade, I do look at euro GBP, because that's what helps me know what pair to trade when, depending on which is stronger. But we'll start on the daily nonetheless, and we're looking again for that draw to highs, more specifically these highs, and you can see that we've had much more bullish euro on the back of that euro GBP we just looked at. Of course, the 4 hour, and then we want to identify the breaker. So the last low is here, and the last low before that is here. So that means that this high right here is technically a breaker, but look at how messily price has got up there. It's struggling, but I'd like to think that when we see advancement like this is actual, okay, it looks like we're actually going somewhere now. We're probably on the back of, some large expansion, and we do have high impact news on the 7th, which is tomorrow. Oh, that's why. Fed interest rates. That makes sense. So we've got to give it time. I should have looked at the news earlier. And then nonetheless, this large breaker as well within that range, this will be the low. Again, I don't want to see price trade any lower than this bearish order block, if that makes sense. So this is a bearish order block. We traded through it on the upside. Ideally, this will close above it. And then if that's the case, I don't want to see it go any back below it for me to remain bullish. As in 50% levels cool, any lower and I'll be a little bit, but I don't tend to trade interest rates anyway. But nonetheless, again, bullish order block within the range. I'm happy for us to tap into there, do what needs to be done, but we're starting to see a willingness to go higher. And then again, we got some highs above here and these relative equal highs above here. But what I'm going to do, I think this is a good time to compare and we'll see divergence. So we see that dollars trading lower, we'll see that euros trading higher, but pound as per usual is misbehaving because pound has made a lower low. Well, it's not made a lower low, but has it made a lower low? It has made a lower low, hasn't it? It looks like it made a lower low. Yeah, right here. So as my point is, as euros marching on higher and showing strength, pounds slopping off behind, and then that's why we saw such a large expansion here, and why we'll probably see pound needing to catch up because we're seeing the strength in euro whilst dollar showing that weakness. It's just that pound here is the one that's misbehaving by being slower, so we need to give it that opportunity. But that's just something to take into consideration in terms of, you know, classic divergence and knowing which pairs to trade, etc. So that's going to be everything for today. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, join me over on Discord. All the links are in the description, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.